Guys, I have a secret and I need you not to judge me for it. I kind of love Family Guy. Everywhere I look, I see people are saying the show hasn't been funny for years and that it's fallen off. And while I do prefer the older seasons, I still like watching the new stuff too. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just easily entertained, but back in the day, Family Guy was actually a very successful and respected franchise. Successful enough to warrant not one, but 2 licensed video games. And in today's video, we're going to be playing the first one, which was released in 2006 for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. But we're not just going to be playing this game, we're going to be getting all the achievements, which will require us to not only 100% the game, but we'll have several challenges along the way. And if you're wondering how do we have achievements on a PlayStation 2 game, it's all thanks to Retro Achievements, a website that adds achievements like you'd find in modern games to all your favorite retro games. There's 61 achievements in total, and to get them all, we'll have damageless challenges, speedruns, and even a second run through the game without collecting any upgrades. So this achievement set has a lot of challenges to spice up this playthrough, and I've never played this game before, so it'll be a first time experience for me. If you're new to the channel, my name's Nostalgic Juice. I play all sorts of nostalgic retro games focusing on achievements, challenge runs, and all sorts of stuff like that. So if you're into that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. With the intro out of the way, let's get this party started. We kick things off and Peter's watching Mr. Belvedere on TV, who according to Wikipedia was a sitcom that aired back in 1985. That's just a little bit before my time, so I'm not familiar with that show, but trust me, it's important to the plot. Meanwhile, Stewie and Rupert are upstairs concocting their latest scheme to take over the world using a mind control device that will be amplified by a satellite on the roof. But Stewie's brother Bertram shows up trying to steal the satellite, so we'll have to stop him. We have a short tutorial to get our bearings as we collect these bolts scattered throughout the house. The last one is located outside, so we'll have to use our mind control ray on Lois to get that door open. Before that though, we pick up our first achievement for taking a look behind this door with a dead horse, which according to the achievement picture is that brain dead horse that Peter bought in the show. The first of many references which I'm not ashamed to admit I understand because I unironically love Family Guy. After we chase Brian outside with the vacuum to get that door open, we pick up our last bolt and now we can use our ray gun. Stewie's levels are like a run and gun type gameplay where you have to battle through waves of enemies to progress through the level. Once we make it to the end of the street, we have to take out one enemy in particular who's controlling a helicopter preventing us from progressing.
My lawn! That's not what I meant by a bush cut!
And of course, this wouldn't be a Family Guy video game without cutaway gags.
Good thing my bribes at City Hall paid off.
Hey, don't forget to put in these hooks.
Why?
Because some infant gave me $100.
Just like the TV show, we'll get these cutaway gags every so often, and these are like WarioWare style minigames. Winning them gets us more bolts to upgrade our ray gun, and there's also an achievement for winning each minigame. We use our grappling hook to get to the roof to zap some more kids, and then we confront Bertram and destroy the satellite so he can't get his hands on it.
I'd rather the dish be destroyed than have it fall into your hands.
Fool! I tricked you into destroying your own satellite dish. Now I can proceed unimpeded with my own plan for world domination.
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Goodbye, Stewart!
Okay, some kind of squirrel or Meg, stop interrupting my program.
So it turns out that Bertram has a bigger plan in motion, and Stewie decides to investigate by shrinking down and going to his lair inside of Peter's balls. Yeah, that is the actual plot of the game. This is just peak 2000s Family Guy. So now we're at the hospital and we have to blast our way through the hospital staff. And I'm honestly so surprised at the variety of enemies and mechanics in these levels. You got different types of enemies, rooms with reflective walls where the bullets will ricochet, you got platforming segments. I mean, I thought this was just gonna be a crappy licensed game, so I didn't really have high expectations here. But I'm surprised just how much fun I was having with Stewie's levels throughout the game. Once we reach the room with the pregnant ladies, we can pick up an achievement for jumping on all of them until they spit out 3 of Quagmire's babies. And they have all sorts of goodies for us in there.
I had a craving for it.
Whoa! Lady, you had a missile inside there? What else you got inside there? We picked up our 100th bolt, which gives our ray gun an upgrade. We have to make sure we're collecting as many bullets as we can because we need a total of 700 throughout the game to get the final upgrade. There are more than 700, so you don't have to go crazy trying to get every single one, but this was my first time playing this game, so I didn't know that, and that's exactly what I did. To finish off the level, we have to grab a coil from the MRI machine, which is currently in use. So we'll have to mind control Quagmire and chase these nurses into the laser grid blocking the power switch. And apparently, once we hit the switch, it activates disco mode, which of course is standard issue with every hospital. Once we grab the coil, we can exit the room, and that wraps up Stewie's level for now. That brings us to the B plot. Brian gets a visit from Seabreeze, who's pregnant once again, and Carter is convinced that Brian violated a restraining order and is the father, so he has him arrested. And now Brian has to escape prison and prove that he's innocent.
Damn it, a speed bump. Who's the wise guy that put this speed bump here? It's not funny! Horowitz, I'm looking at you! Yeah? Oh, yeah, laugh it up, guys! This is in poor taste!
Brian's levels are all about stealth. We have to sneak around and avoid being caught, not just by the cops, but from anybody, because Quahog is just full of narcs who will bust us if they spot us. Is the dead guy gonna, like, rat me out?
I see you.
Sometimes we'll have to cause a distraction, like turning on the cameras in the ladies' shower to distract the guards. Thankfully, there's no cameras in the men's shower, so we can sneak through there no problem. We have another cutaway game here too, and winning that gets us an achievement as well as invisibility for a few seconds, which isn't required, but it does help speed things along. Honestly, when it comes to Brian's levels, these are my least favorite because a lot of the gameplay is just standing and waiting. So anything that can cut some seconds off that is fine by me. Okay, you just go through the sides of those, perfect. Oh, we got some speedrun strats. We can just go through the sides of the desks. Yeah, just phase through the side of that, no big deal. And believe me, that will not be the only time we accidentally discover some cheesy out-of-bounds strat. This game is held together by dollar store masking tape. You thought walls aren't real in Donkey Kong 64? Walls aren't even a concept in this game. But you'll see what I mean in a minute. For now, we make it out of that room as Brian and pick up an achievement for clearing his level before switching back to Stewie. And right at the start, we have a challenge achievement for making it to the other side of this room that's covered in liposuction gunk. Normally, you would slide on the floor to glide across the fluid, bouncing off walls and trying to avoid obstacles. But for our achievement, we have to make it to the other side of this room without touching the ground, which would be pretty easy if not for these stupid rotating bubbles. These aren't supposed to be a platform, you're supposed to swim through or around them. So clearly they aren't designed to be jumped on, which makes it very difficult to land on one. And you know, that wouldn't be too bad on its own, after all they are at the very start, so if you fail, you could just try again. And making it through the rest of the room is pretty easy as well, just land on any flat surface and you'll be fine. But at the very end of the hallway, there's another set of spinning bubbles to jump on. If you fail this jump, you have to make your way all the way back to the start of the room, and this room wasn't designed to go backwards, so doing that is just a huge hassle. There's not even a good way to get back on that barrel to practice the last jump. I spent a good 30 minutes in this room trying to get this achievement and we were having absolutely no luck. And it got to a point where I started trying to find an alternative way because I was just not getting that last jump. And do you remember how I said the walls aren't a thing in this game? Part of me is wondering, is there a way I can jump to like the side rails here? Yeah, hang on, what if I do this? Then jump on here. Then on here. Oh, okay, I mean, all right. Does this work? And there we go. There's our achievement. There it is. Yep, turns out you could just jump the wall and get out of bounds. You do still have to make that first jump, but that's so much better than having to make the last one. This isn't even difficult to do, just jump over the wall. You don't have to do any kind of trick or anything. The walls just simply don't exist. I will say though, I really like these sliding areas. I'm so glad there was plenty more of them to play the normal way. You're not just free swimming through these, you're gliding forward automatically and you bounce off the walls you hit, so you're just ping-ponging around everywhere trying not to hit those bombs. You can shoot them with the ray gun, but for some reason I didn't think of that until later. Then we had a morgue area where we have to solve a puzzle and find out which boxes are connected to make it through the area. It's like a memory test and you have to remember which box leads to where. And I'm sure I would have figured it out, but once again, the concept of a wall just doesn't exist in this game, and I somehow clipped out of bounds and just stumbled into the last room without even trying. I swear, I'm not intentionally trying to find ways to get out of bounds, it just keeps happening. And if you think this is bad, just wait till our second run where we really break this game. In the next area, I picked up our 200th bolt for another upgrade and achievement, and it just so happens we have another achievement in this area for making it through without taking damage, which was pretty difficult, and there's no out of bounds cheese to get us through it. You definitely want to use the charge attack on the ray gun, which does a spread shot so you can attack without having to stand directly in front of enemies. The strategy I use is to basically just spam those spread shots without even aiming and then focus my attention on dodging the projectiles. The first wave is the hardest because the enemies are so close to you, but as you progress through the waves, they spawn further back, and you can hang out by the start to give yourself more reaction time. And after a few times, we managed to get the successful run. Once you see level cleared, all you have to do is make it through the door and the achievement will pop. We made it to the room with Peter, and now we have to take out the nurses around him. So we pull the plug on nearby patients to summon death, and then we mind control him so we can send them to the big hospital in the sky.
What the hell's wrong with this thing? Come on, die already! Another one? Man, this hospital is
Splendid! This calls for a sexy party.
Go to the star. Oh, we gotta go to the star. We gotta go to the star. Sexy. Oh, I missed it.
Thanks to this pill, I shall have.
Wait, no, how do I replay the minigame? No. No, I didn't mean to skip the cutscene either. So right there, I ended up losing my first cutaway game, and I wanted to pause the game and restart the checkpoint because I wasn't sure if they could be replayed or not. But in doing so, I accidentally skipped the next cutscene, so I had no context going into the first Peter level. And I had no idea why I was beating up old people and children outside the hospital. It turns out that after Stewie shrunk himself down and went inside of him, Peter woke up confused and convinced himself that Mr. Belvedere has kidnapped his family and has brainwashed everybody in Quahog into trying to kill him. So that's why Peter's levels are beat 'em ups where you have to fist fight a bunch of enemies to progress. The combat actually has combos and stuff too, with some enemies needing to be punched and others have to be kicked. But whatever you do, don't try that on God because it won't end well. Hey, it's God. Can I punch God?
Smite you!
Nope, nope, you can't punch God. Okay, well. Oh, I gotta replay the whole level for that? Come on! As you're beating people up, they drop snacks, which fills your snack meter. And that could be used to do special attacks, which you'll need to defeat bigger enemies like this guy wearing a clam suit. Once we hit him enough times, we get a quick time event to finish him off, and that about wraps up Peter's level for now.
This reminds me of that time I tried to open that can of tuna. Oh! You die!
We pick up another achievement for finishing Peter's level, and then we're back to Brian sneaking around through the next section of the police station. I couldn't find a way to break through the desk this time, but this area is pretty easy, and we even have a cutaway game halfway through, which gives us the invisibility to speed things up.
This is why I don't vote.
What? Why? This is why you don't vote?
Oh, nice one, Mr. President.
I mean, Abraham Lincoln's never tried tackling me at the polls, I'm just saying.
It's not happening.
We also get our first disguise here, and that adds a new mechanic to our sneaking around. While disguise, as long as you don't move or touch anybody, we can avoid detection. This first disguise is kind of lame since we can't move while using it, but we'll get better ones throughout the game. Seabreeze is here, and Brian picks up the scent of Tom Tucker and suspects that he might be the father, so now we have to get out of the police station to go investigate the news station. We ditch the lampshade for a new disguise, and this time we can walk out in front of people with it. But now we have a new mechanic to deal with. If Brian gets too close to these plants, his bone meter will start to fill, and if it gets full, he'll have to mark his territory. And if he does that, he'll lose the disguise because everyone knows you can't wear a hat and piss at the same time. So we have to make sure we don't stand near any plants for too long. And after we make it out through the front doors, we grab an achievement for clearing the level, and we're switching back to Stewie, who's just entered Peter's stomach. We have to cross the lake of acid without falling in for another achievement. It's a pretty easy platforming section, but I did mess it up once because I didn't realize the coins will sink if you stand on them. I mean, why does Peter even have coins in his stomach in the first place? Though, I guess it's not the weirdest thing down here.
Is this red carpet? He's been eating red carpet.
We got that achievement for crossing without falling into the acid, and then we make our way down to the balls. I strongly recommend for anybody else hunting these achievements, do not do what I did and backtrack to collect every missed bolt during the slide sections. Like I said, this was my first time playing, so I didn't know how many bolts I could miss, but I ended up getting close to 800 by the end of the game, which is 100 more than we need, so don't stress out if you miss a few. We end up inside Peter's brain, and we have to get the blood flowing from his stomach to his testicles. And somehow we do that by mind controlling these figments of Peter's imagination and then running them down a football field where they transform into sexy ladies. And once we make it across with all three, we can jump into the artery that goes directly to the balls, and that's the end of this Stewie segment. So we pick up another achievement and we're back to brawling with Peter. We save some kids from Hubert the pervert, only to then kick the crap out of them. And this part was actually pretty hard. You definitely have to make use of your special moves here. We also get introduced to a new enemy type who have shields, so we have to hit them with the leg sweep combo before we can take them out. These enemies take so many hits to defeat though, so it's really best to just once again use your special attacks on them. It's also more fun that way to try to corral all the enemies close together so you can wipe a bunch out with one attack. We end the level with another clan fight and then a cutaway to a fire truck chasing a gazelle, and we win that for another achievement, and then we get another one for clearing the level. And then we're back to Brian, who's trying to sneak into the Channel 5 news station. Unfortunately, a truck full of fire hydrants has tipped over, and if we get too close to one, Brian's gonna have to take a leak. We'll need to distract the cops so we can sneak inside, and what better way to do that than to turn on the sprinklers while a bunch of cheerleaders are standing in the grass.
Well, I think we've learned cops love things a little hot and wet.
Oh no! Water!
Whee!
Last one in has crossing guard duty.
So much for the wet t-shirt scene everyone was hoping for.
We make it inside the news station and we're just doing our thing, sneaking around until we find the best disguise in the entire game.
It's peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter jelly time.
Where yet? Where yet? Where yet? Where yet? There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go.
I will say of all the Brian levels, this one's probably the best one. Because most of the other levels are just standing and waiting, but this one actually has obstacles to dodge in this room where I think they're filming a movie, but they're using real saws and crushers, which is just violating all kinds of labor laws.
It's the worst job I've ever had. Well, except for one. Pardon? Excuse me. Would you like to try my smoked meat log?
We cleared Brian's level, and now we're back as Peter, who's followed Mr. Belvedere's signal to Cheesy Charlie's. He gets his head hit by the door on the way in, and somehow that turns him into Rufus Griffin.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's Rufus Griffin, the soul brother who keeps things smooth and real and smooth.
Go, Rufus!
If you guys aren't up to date on Family Guy lore, this is Peter's cousin, but I have no clue how we've transformed into him. Gameplay wise, nothing's changed except for some animations and voice lines. We're still beating the crap out of anything that moves, and we even pick up an achievement for playing the whack-a-mole and destroying all the rodents in the time limit. I gotta say, this level is a dream come true because I actually used to work for Chuck E. Cheese, and I think anybody who's worked there has had a day where they just wanted to kick the crap out of everybody there. And I'm really impressed with the level of detail these developers put in. They even got the secret underground catacombs where they keep the evil animatronics and imprisoned orphans. Most people don't know there's one of these in every Chuck E. Cheese. I'm sorry, kids. Kids, I'm sorry. It's part of the game. I have to do it. I'm sorry.
Save me, mister!
I'm so sorry, kids. I'm so sorry. The level ends with the walls crumbling around us, and we end up fighting a bunch of floating Belvedere heads emerging from a portal on a floating platform surrounded by lava, until an even bigger one swallows us whole. Yeah, if it wasn't obvious by now, this is all happening inside Peter's head. And once we're done with the level, we're back to normal. We're back to Stewie now, and we just picked up our 300th bolt for another ray gun upgrade, which makes our bullets pierce through enemies. And we have another achievement just like last time where we have to cross the lake of urine in the bladder without falling in. This time it's the fans that disappear once you jump on them, and I have absolutely no good explanation as to why there are fans in Peter's bladder. But we make it all the way across without falling in, so we got our achievement. Our next achievement, however, is one of the hardest ones in the game.
That was more pathetic than that game of Marco Polo I played with Helen Keller. Marco. 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 Marco.
Okay, no, but for real, we do actually have a really difficult achievement here. We have to defeat all the enemies in this room and make it to the end in less than 90 seconds. The thing is, this room is a nightmare. Everywhere you step activates a landmine, so you're constantly dodging explosives in addition to all the enemies. And when too many explosions are happening at once, the screen starts to shake so violently it's impossible to see anything. Just getting through this room casually seems really difficult, let alone trying to speedrun it. Oh, and the best part? Every failed attempt means we have to replay that Marco Polo minigame. A game where you just essentially sit still for 10 seconds. Eventually I realized we don't have to win that game and it's faster to just intentionally fail by running into her. But it's still a pretty annoying cooldown between attempts. Spamming the spread shot is once again the go-to strategy. However, it's harder this time because we now have 2 charge attacks. So if we charge it for too long, we'll do the second one instead of the spread shot. So we have to kind of get into a rhythm, which is just another thing to try to keep track of in addition to the explosives and the projectiles and everything else going on. I'm not gonna lie, this is extremely difficult, but after attempting it countless times, I picked up on some useful tips. First, landmines won't strike the same spot twice, so you can stand on any area that's already been bombed without worrying about them. They also won't trigger if you're in the air, so if you have to cross somewhere dangerous, you can jump and glide to avoid landmines. These 2 mushroom things after wave 2 have health packs, which means you can be really aggressive in the beginning because you'll get your health back there. And there's also some other health packs towards the end in the mushrooms to the right. And finally, 90 seconds is actually a pretty generous amount of time. I'm gonna show off the entire successful run that I did, and I definitely was not going as fast as I could have been, but I still ended up getting it in 82 seconds. So there's definitely some wiggle room, so don't feel like you have to rush super aggressively the entire time. It's best to start aggressively, that way you can reset if you get a bad start, but after the first wave or 2 of enemies, you can slow down and play a little more cautiously. Aside from those tips, this just takes a lot of practice to get down. Believe me, I looked for an out of bounds clip or something to cheese our way through this. But there just doesn't seem to be a way out of this. So all that's left to do now is to lock in, keep trying, and just get good.
Ah, the testicles at last. And look, a reception committee. Yeah, it is a game of bad days being spurned.
Hey, that was a really good start. Did I do it?
You sperm warriors must be quite stressed.
Oh my god, finally! I don't care, kill them. Oh my god, that was such a hard achievement. My god. Thankfully, the rest of the level is nowhere near that difficult. Just a few more rooms with ricocheting walls, and once we're through there, we are finally done with this level.
An Eames chair? How the hell can he afford an Eames chair? Chapter 1, Killing Stuff. Oh my, this chair is orgasmic. Oh, I hope these diapers absorb semen.
We're back to Brian and we're continuing our journey sneaking through the Channel 5 news studio. This level has one of the longest sneak sessions as we're going through the dressing rooms. And as usual, so much of it is just waiting for an opening so you can move. This was probably my least favorite of all the levels. The interactions and dialogues with the characters are funny, but that wears off after the first few attempts. And I had to replay this room a dozen times to finally make it through. I was especially salty after I won the cutaway gag because I got so overconfident with the invisibility that I bumped into Joe and exposed myself. But eventually we made it through. We picked up a pair of Tom's underwear from his dresser, but it turns out it's the wrong scent, which means he's not the father. So Brian decides to head to the racetrack to look for more clues. Meanwhile, Peter's at the Indian casino following the Belvedere signal, and we of course have another wild Peter transformation as we head inside.
Oh my God, this is a sign. God wants me to continue selling sexual favors for money. I hear you, Lord.
Hey, you looking for a party? If you're looking for junk in the trunk, I'm a freaking SUV.
The casino's a pretty fun level. It feels like there's more enemies, but there's also plenty of slot machines full of health and snacks, so we constantly have our special meter filled. The hardest areas are these close quarter segments, although honestly, I was making this way harder on myself because I unlocked a new special move during this level and I just didn't realize it. You'll see what I mean during our second run, but for now, I just struggled my way through the casino.
This reminds me of a time I went to the disco. Ow!
At the end of the level, we get a cutscene of Peter taking a dump, and that's when we see Stewie making his escape out of his body. And you'll notice he was no longer shrunken down by the shrink ray, so Peter just basically passed a football through his ass. We clear the level and pick up another progression achievement, and then we're back as Stewie. We have to infiltrate Bertram's other lair that's not inside Peter's balls. And we're kicking things off with another very difficult achievement. We have to ride this flying platform and fight through waves of enemies, and we have to do it without taking any damage. I would say this achievement is pretty on par with the last difficult achievement that we did. However, it does get a lot easier as you progress. Because at the start, all the enemies are right up in your face, and dodging the projectiles while taking them all out is very difficult. But the more you progress, the farther back enemies spawn. And so you can hang out far away from them, and that gives you more reaction time. Eventually, you can go so far back to the point where their projectiles despawn before they can reach you. So really, the challenge here is just getting past that first wave or two. There's also these turrets that you're normally supposed to lob a grenade shot into to destroy them. However, these turrets will automatically destroy themselves after about a minute. And that's a failsafe to ensure that the player can progress even if they didn't collect enough bolts for the grenade shot upgrade. So you can just hang out far away from them and wait for them to destroy themselves. The first wave is super difficult, so I did end up spending a good 30 minutes in this room, but once I made it past the first wave, I just took my time and was able to get it on that attempt. The best advice I have for you guys attempting to do this is to just really take your time and be patient after getting past that first wave. Sit back far enough so that the projectiles can't reach you, and just try to snipe the enemies one by one if you have to. And be careful, because after the last wave, it looks like you're done, but there's another wave of turrets waiting to surprise you, along with Trisha Takanawa. But I don't think she attacks you, she's just providing commentary, but in either case, the turrets will take her out. And once those last turrets destroy themselves, we can make it to the end of the room and get our achievement. Shortly after that, we have another achievement for making it through this sliding section without going backwards. We have to go through these gates to activate the doors ahead of us, so if we miss one, we'll fail the achievement since we can't go back to try again. But this wasn't too difficult, and we got it on our first try with no issues. We blast our way through the rest of the level, taking out Bertram's goons, who are clones, so we'll have to destroy their cloning machines in order to take them out for good. We pick up our 400th bolt, and that gets us another upgrade, which is a shockwave that will be very useful for an upcoming challenge. But before we have time to appreciate it, we're about to fully upgrade our ray gun. Because near the end of this level is Bertram's armory, where there's hundreds of bolts for us to grab. We end up picking up the achievement for getting 500 bolts, and then the other one for getting to 700 bolts just from this room alone. So now I felt really stupid thinking about all the backtracking I did trying to get every single bolt earlier. Our final upgrade gives us the homing missile attack, and our standard shot is now a rocket, which is so much stronger. And this next area is one of our biggest battles, so it's a great place to try out all of our new toys. And once we blasted everybody in the area, we cleared the level, grab an achievement for doing so, and then we're back to the casino with Peter. Just like the last one, we're just beating up everyone in sight as we make our way through the casino. There's not too much to talk about for the most part, except for this random minigame where Gandhi challenges us to a hot dog eating contest. And despite him being a total cheater and trying to attack us, we completely destroyed him. I mean, come on, you're not beating Peter Griffin in a hot dog eating contest. We get a new special move too, which is a lot of fun to use. You basically turn into one of those cartoon fighting balls and can roll through enemies to defeat them. The thing is though, this move costs a lot more snack power and there's a long wind-up animation which can be interrupted if you're attacked. So this move just isn't very practical to use, but it's at least fun, which is more than I can say about the next Cutaway game.
Man, we must have blown our budget hiring all those characters. We couldn't afford another mini-game, so, how about pressing a button? Yeah, do that. Yay!
The level ends with a bit of a boss battle against Phineas and Barnaby. Just like the clam enemies, we have to damage them enough before finishing them off with a quick time event. And we just spam our special attacks pretty much, but the executions are pretty funny. And after we defeat them, we are now done with the casino.
Hey there, skimps on maintenance. Do you know the way out of here?
That brings us to our final Brian level as we sneak our way around the dog racing track. And I'm just so over these Brian levels. I sure hope we find a way to break out of bounds again so we can get through these faster. Oh, hey, look at that! And I just walk right back out? Look at... Dude, this game is broken, man! I just walk right back out?
Really not that hard.
How... You could just walk out! I'm not doing a thing! I'm not doing a bit! I'm just walking out! The walls are just not real! They don't exist!
Like me who have to drink.
I'm just walking out! You don't have to do anything, it just works! You can just walk out! There's no way this keeps working! I really wish I could explain to you guys how I keep getting out of bounds, but I genuinely have no idea how I keep doing this. It seems like once you break out of bounds once, you get into a state where all the walls just stop working. And I had way more fun goofing around with this than I did in any of the other Brian levels. Hey, what's that out there? Do I want to risk having like failed this room to go investigate that? I kind of do. I'm curious. What is that? Let's go for a walk. All right, we are now in the void. Brian has died and is gone to hell. Oh God, I'm not, dude, the camera angle of him running towards you. This is scary, I don't like this. Oh God, that's kind of terrifying. Okay, right there, there's that glowing purple thing right there. I'm going for it. I can't tell if he's still walking, he's just a little blip on my screen now. He's literally turning into like a line. Oh, he's holding it, whatever it is, he has it. It's like a VIP badge? No, it's a race collar. Okay, I'm gonna assume we get that later in the game. Like there's probably a level on the racetrack, but we somehow got it early because we saw it in the void like that. That's so funny. Dude, this game is broken, man. After we win the next Cutaway game for an achievement, we pick up one more for clearing the level. Then we're back with Stewie fighting our way deeper into Bertram's lair. And just in case you still haven't gotten your final upgrade, there's another pile of bolts in the first room that you can get if you take out all the toxic barrels in the room. If you already have 700, there's no need to do that, but it just shows yet again how stupid it was for me to keep going back for those. This level is tons of fun. We have a slide through some toxic gas where you have to keep grabbing health packs on the way down so we don't die. And then the next areas are a nice mix of platforming and combat as we make our way up to Bertram. A nice calm before the storm because we have yet again another very difficult achievement ahead of us. After we confront Bertram, who's about to launch his own satellite into space, we learn that he's captured Rupert and trapped him inside a rocket, doomed to orbit the Earth alone for all eternity. And we'll have to rescue him without taking any damage for this achievement. To rescue him, we have to keep shooting at the glass of the rocket, which starts off easy enough, but the more damage we deal, the more Bertram fights back by adding in all new obstacles and projectiles. There's smoke stopping us from standing too close to the hole, homing projectiles that will follow us around, and finally the floor will become electrified and we'll have to avoid getting shocked. At first I thought the homing missiles would be great here, but they do a very bad job. They hardly ever connect with the pink projectiles, they just kind of spin around on top of them. The shockwave is much better at dealing with those, but just like last time, now that we have so many upgrades, we have to time our charges to get to the shockwave. And getting that rhythm down while dodging everything else is just so much to keep track of. Strategy wise, there isn't really much we can do to make this easier. At the very start, we can spam as many rockets as we can, and that gets us to the third phase almost immediately, and that does save us a lot of time. But ultimately, the rest comes down to skillful gameplay to get through this. So once again, it's time to lock in and get this done.
Shields should shatter any minute now.
Got him! Woo! That was hard, man. That was hard. We got it, though. Stewie and Bertram decide to settle the score on the playground in a final battle, which we'll get to in a bit. But for now, we're back to Peter, who of course is gonna get another costume change.
What the hell? I am an automaton nuclear neo-human android. You may call me Anna. I am a robot ninja from the planet England, sent here to seek and destroy Mr. Belvedere and all who stand in my way. And I can do both regular chicks and robot chicks. Yeah. Awesome.
By this point, we're pretty good at playing as Peter, so we make it through the first few waves of enemies and make our way through the docks with no issues. Except for these guys who throw octopuses at us, which stuns us. Those guys are super annoying. Not as annoying as our next achievement though. There's a mini game where we have to dodge the falling swordfish and collect beers, and we have an achievement for catching all the beer without taking any damage. This is easily my least favorite achievement in the entire set. I'm already not much of a fan of damageless achievements. They're pretty uninspired and usually more of a pain in the ass than a challenge. The damageless challenges in this game so far have actually been fine though, I've really enjoyed them so far, but this one sucks because it's really up to RNG if you actually get it or not. Sometimes you just get a bad fish spawn and there's no way to avoid taking damage. Your best bet is to wait in the middle of the bridge to give yourself the best possible chance to dodge and collect things, and then just hope that you get a run that's possible. It wasn't the longest time we spent on an achievement, it only took like 10 minutes to get a successful run, but that was still 10 minutes of gambling. These kinds of achievements just don't feel that good to get. It's not a yes I did it kind of feeling like the other ones, it's more of a ugh thank god that's over type feeling. At least we picked up 2 quick achievements immediately after this because we have a cutaway game, and then right after that the level ends, so we picked up a progression achievement. And then we're back to Brian for his final level. Unfortunately, I didn't find an out of bounds cheese here, but this level actually has a fun mini game where you disguise yourself as a food vendor, and we have to serve customers while collecting clues, otherwise we'll blow our cover. And you have to memorize who ordered food because if you try to deliver food to the wrong customer, they'll complain and that also blows your cover. I'm glad there's at least a few fun ideas for Brian's levels, but by this point we're already at the end of the game. I really would have liked to see more mini games like this. Once we're done with that, we learn that the father is here at the racetrack, so Brian's plan is to disguise himself as Seabreeze, then take her place in the race and win to lure the father out of hiding. So in order to win the race, we have to sneak around and drug the other dogs to make them sick. And this was the longest stealth portion we've had so far, so it took us a while to get through there. But once we made it to the end, we picked up that racing disguise and it's time to run our race. I'm so glad this outfit was still there because we picked it up earlier than we were supposed to in the last level, but thankfully it respawned so we could run the race and beat all the other dogs.
That's not Seabreeze, that's Brian! Arrest that dog! I'm not the father of Seabreeze's puppies, Joe. I'm innocent.
Sentimental hogwash.
But the real father is right here with us. And he is none other than Glenn Quagmire.
What? Still less hair than a Greek chick.
Of course it's Quagmire. Who else was it gonna be besides Quagmire? And with that mystery solved, the Brian levels are now officially done. And now we have Peter's last level, brawling our way through the beach. And we can even dish out some justice against Quagmire. And after beating up all the beachgoers, the town has finally had enough of Peter's shenanigans and they brought in the big guns to come take us out.
What's the matter? Nothing to say for yourself? You were too busy hanging out on your island to record one line for some video game? Okay, I got my shot. Let's do this!
I went into this fight with like no snack power, which set me back a bit as I had to scavenge for some from the surrounding enemies. I was also getting thrown off because for this fight, instead of a button mashing QuickTime event, you have to hit a random sequence of buttons. Every other QuickTime event has just been mashing square, then circle to finish them off, so that was messing me up a bit. But aside from that, we defeated the Black Knight like any other big enemy.
Anna says, "Thank you, Jesus."
Go Jesus, it's Christmas. Go Jesus, it's Christmas.
Peter, there you are.
Lois, you escaped from Mr. Belvedere.
Peter, there is no Mr. Belvedere. He's just a TV character that we can use because Fox owns the rights to him. But aside from that, the actor who played him has been dead for years. You destroyed half of Quahog looking for something that doesn't exist.
Oh my God, I'm a monster. All the people whose asses I kicked.
I know you must feel bad, Peter. But maybe if you try to make amends with those people...
You make a lot of sense, Lois. And not to get all touchy-feely on you, but what I hear you saying is that this is the kind of regret that is only cured by serious, hardcore drinking. I love you, problem-solving wife.
With Peter's story done, it's now time for our final showdown against Bertram. And I really love this fight. It starts off with a Space Invaders type thing where we have to zap all of his clones as they zigzag toward us. And those rocking horses even act as shields, just like in Space Invaders. And after we get past that phase, Bertram pulls out his growth ray and makes himself huge. To damage him, we have to attack his feet while dodging his attacks, and then once he's vulnerable, we have to platform our way up to the top of the jungle gyms to shoot him. Aside from the camera getting bugged during the fight, I was having tons of fun on this one. Once we hit him 3 times, we go to phase 3 where some of the jungle gyms are destroyed, so we have to go the long way around. And I really love that they found a way to incorporate platforming into this fight. There's also plenty of kids running around who will drop health packs if we zap them, so we don't have to worry about dying and starting the fight over. And then once we're in the final phase, we're in the sandbox and we have to keep shooting at his feet to cause him to sink down, and then we shoot his growth ray. It's a pretty long fight, but it was a really satisfying final boss fight.
Mommy!
What? Oh, that is such a vagina thing to do.
Maybe so, but the fact is, I live to fight another day. Until next time, Stuart, I leave you with this.
Blast! Yeah, that was time well spent. Oh, Rupert, what a day. I just want to get home, draw a hot bath, and spend some quality time with my thoughts. No, you can't watch. I'll leave the door cracked.
And just when I thought the game was over, we have one final surprise waiting for us at the end. Another final boss fight, but not against Mr. Belvedere. We're fighting none other than the Giant Chicken. I love the Giant Chicken fights in Family Guy, and this game absolutely nailed it. I mean, I do kind of hate the QuickTime events, and that's basically the entire fight, but in between the QuickTime events, you're just brawling all over Quahog. And each time you clear a phase, you get sent right to the next area, battling all over town. The fight's pretty generous too. Each area is a checkpoint, so if you do manage to die like I did, you can just get right back into it. Which I appreciate because I think it would totally ruin the pacing if you had to restart the entire fight if you die. This fight isn't about the challenge, it's purely for the vibes. As IGN would say, it really makes you feel like you're in a Family Guy episode.
Oh, crap.
Oh my God, Peter! Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, Lois. In fact, I learned something today. You can't always trust your feelings. Especially after watching 5 straight days of Mr. Belvedere with no sleep, and while constantly getting hit in the head by a very coincidentally large number of objects.
Well, I learned that the dog track is horse racing for poor people.
And I learned that I've got to stop overscheduling myself. I mean, look at this. Booked solid through next Thursday.
You know, there's just one thing I don't get. I know I was out of my mind in every way, but I swear that Mr. Belvedere head floating up in the sky was real. Hey, there it is again! What the hell is that?
Oh, you're a hoot, Mr. Belvedere. Okay, now here's my screech.
And with that, we've officially beaten the Family Guy video game, but we still have a few more achievements to go before we can celebrate. Now that we beat the game, we can replay any of the cutaway minigames, so we pick up the achievements that we missed on the first run. Honestly, I don't know how I failed so many of these. They aren't difficult, but I'm very glad we can replay them without having to go through the entire game.
Go God, it's your birthday.
But we actually do have to play the game again for our last achievement. For this one, we have to defeat Bertram on the playground without upgrading the ray gun. That means we have to play through the entire game and avoid collecting bolts in Stewie's levels. And once again, I'm not too familiar with this game, so I didn't know how many of the bolts are impossible to avoid. So I was constantly resetting if I touched even one. And by the end of it, I ended up with only 30 bolts. And that's including the 20 that you have to collect during the tutorial. So once again, you don't have to stress avoiding bolts. If you grab a few here and there, it's really no big deal. Just make sure you fail all the minigames because those give you 10 bolts each time you win. But replaying the game means we're gonna have to play Brian's levels all over again, and I was not looking forward to that. I plan to really push the game's boundaries and try to find out of bounds tricks in all the levels, but little did I know there was an even more broken way to clear these levels. In fact, we don't even have to use Brian. We can easily bring in Stewie to make these levels a lot faster. And I have to give a big thank you to speedrunner MarioFan04 for joining us on the Twitch stream and teaching me this trick. I'll have a link to their channel in the description, so go check them out if you want to see some speedruns of this game. And this trick is super easy. I literally got it on my first try. All you have to do is first get to a level that you want to swap Stewie in. Then quit the game and load up a new file and play up until you get to the MRI room as Stewie. Then you walk into these lasers which will kill you, and right as you do, you hit the pause button, click on load game, go over the file that has the level that you're trying to bring Stewie into, and then as soon as you select it, start mashing the circle button. Then when Stewie is done dying and it gives you the option to reload the checkpoint, just select that option, and just like that, you can get Stewie into other characters' levels. You can still get caught by the enemies as Stewie, but you have all your moves like jumping and gliding, which makes getting through these levels way easier. Stewie's hitbox is a bit bigger than Brian's, and enemies might be able to see you through walls that normally Brian would be hidden behind, but once you get used to it all, you'll be flying through Brian's levels. You can also get into Peter's levels too if you feel like goofing around, but I find it's faster to just do those as Peter. Plus, Stewie can't attack any enemy that falls to the ground, so you might end up soft-locking yourself. Oh, and speaking of Peter's levels, on the second playthrough, I finally realized that I missed out on one of his best moves. In the casino, you unlock a special move that lets you charge into enemies and shoulder check them. And this move is so good at dealing with enemies. It'll knock down big enemies, blast through groups, and if you tap it quickly instead of holding it down, it barely consumes your stack meter. I can't believe I went the whole game without knowing about this. It's an absolute game changer. Once we make it through the game, we just have to defeat Bertram once more, this time using the unupgraded ray gun, which sounds a lot harder than it actually is. Dodging his attacks isn't difficult, and there's plenty of free health packs to grab throughout the fight. The only difficult part here is the fact that your ray gun does so little damage, so it takes forever to damage him enough to get him vulnerable. Thankfully, the actual attack that you do afterwards is the same, so the only difference between this fight and the last one is the fact that you're going to spend 5 minutes shooting at his feet each phase. The only thing you can do to speed this up is to use the spread shot and make sure all 3 shots connect, but even then it's still going to be just a bit of a grind. In hindsight, if you wanted to optimize the achievement hunt, it would make more sense to do the 100 bolt run first, then you wouldn't have to replay the entire game the second time. You would just have to play enough to get to 700 bolts, and then probably do all those hard challenge achievements because I can't imagine doing those without the upgraded ray gun. I'm fine with the second playthrough though. I feel like it would have ruined my first experience trying to start with a challenge run like that, and it gave us a chance to check out some new glitches. And once we got the final attack in, our final achievement pops, and we have now officially mastered the Family Guy video game, making this my 32nd mastery on retro achievements. I had a ton of fun with this game, and it was surprisingly way more challenging than I was expecting, but it made for some really fun streams. And I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who tuned into the streams to check those out, especially MarioFan04 once again for sharing some knowledge on how to break this game even further. And with that, that brings us to the end of today's video, gamers. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, likes and comments are very much appreciated. Those engagements really help the channel grow and reach new people. If you don't know what to comment, tell me your favorite Family Guy funny moment. If you want some more juice content to sip on, I got a VOD channel where I'll have the entire stream VOD of this achievement hunt, minus most the second playthrough because I wasn't recording all of it, but that'll be uploaded in a few days. And I also have a Let's Play channel if you want some old school early 2000s YouTube style gaming videos. If you want to hang out with us live as we do these achievement hunts, you can follow me on Twitch, where I try to stream once or twice a week. And if you're a fellow Retro Achievement user, feel free to follow me on Retro Achievements if you want to sneak peek at what games I'm currently working on for future videos. And finally, if you just want to hang out with all of us, we do have a community Discord server. Links to everything will be in the description down below. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.